Happy to see you again on Voices and the Votes, our special program on the sidelines of Lianghui, all the two sessions. The concept of the Chinese Bay Area of Guangdong, Hong Kong and Macau is gaining ground for regional coordination and integration. But it's a complicated concept linking two economic and administrative systems, three currencies and multiple cities. So what's the potential and how will the different players define their roles in building this area? To discuss the evolution of the Greater Bay Area, I'm happy to be joined in the Beijing studio by Dr. Jonathan Choi Kun Sham, chairman of the Sanhua Group and a member of the Standing Committee of the top advisory body, the CPPCC National Committee. We shall also speak via satellite to Professor Lionel Ming-Shan Li, Vice Rector for Academic Affairs at the University of Macau in Hong Kong, and Joanna Lei, former Taiwan legislator in Taipei. That's our topic. This is a dialogue. I'm Yang Rui. Welcome to our discussion here. First of all, member of the Standing Committee, welcome. Do you think this is more of a blessing or a curse when we look at the diversity and differences between the two special administrative regions and 9 cities in the mainland regarding the issue of a Greater Bay integration?
For the Greater Bay integration, I think for the two special administrative regions, it is under one country, two systems. I think for one country, two systems, it is our advantage. Why? Because under the one country, you see, Hong Kong is part of China. We're just like Beijing and Shanghai. And for the two systems, still we are capitalist. And at the same time, we maintain our original living standard and way of living. And we are, on the financial side, we are just like New York and London. Therefore, it is our advantage. But there's some obstacle because, you know, we have to cross the border. 9 cities is in Guangdong, while the two administrative region is in Hong Kong and Macau. And the obstacle today is the free flow of people, goods, capital, and information. Therefore, we are just talking about how we have seamless integration between Hong Kong, Macau, and the 9 cities. That's why it is an obstacle. Therefore, in the long run, we feel that we have advantages and still we have obstacles. What we are going to do is how we have to change the situation so that we have the free flow of all this, so that we will be fully integrated.
Do you feel apologetic for being an outside observer, although Taiwan is an integral part of the mainland of the PRC, and are you jealous of the vibrant idea of having the regional integration between two cities and, two administrative regions and the 9 cities in the mainland? What do you think would be the benefits for such an idea of having further Bay integration?
Well, certainly it's a grand roadmap. Certainly it's a grand idea, grand strategy, a great roadmap for further integration of different systems. But as your speakers already said, there are still lots of challenges because you have different levels of developments in terms of 3 major areas. One is legal and regulatory regime, which will govern all the business activities. The second is free and open foreign exchanges, which are still different between Hong Kong, Macau, and mainland China in terms of fully tradable foreign currency. And the third one is free flow of information and technological innovation. So let me sum up. If we get the best of both worlds, which is, you have the efficiency of a planned economy and then the innovation and entrepreneurship led by Hong Kong and Macau, certainly you will have a great opportunity to build a huge economy which may rank in the top 3 or 4, even larger than some smaller countries. On the other hand, if you cannot overcome the 3 differences in levels of development, namely judicial system, foreign exchanges, and free flow of information and technology, then you may have the worst of both worlds. So whether it's the best or the worst of both worlds depends on the implementation. Everything is in the details. Still, we're looking for the details now.
Joanna, very quickly, vision and blueprint of Bay integration aside, for the moment, What do you think of the chance for KMT to win the campaign and therefore they would accept the One China principle, hence further integration across the Taiwan Strait economically?
Well, certainly, if we look at it today, it's a lot greater than half a year ago. Everybody is excited about the potential for KM to win the next general election and therefore bring cross-strait relations back into its right track, which is peace, co-development, and prosperity for people across the region. So we're hopeful.
Thank you so much. Scholars in the mainland who follow the process across the Taiwan Strait argue it's more about the internal power struggle within the KMT that matters, instead of having the alleged superiority of DPP, the pro-secession political force in the island. Jonathan, do you think this Bay Area, this Bay idea, will be more of an opportunity for Hong Kong, or do you think majority of the young people in Hong Kong are scared because they are afraid of being more Chinese? This is not politically correct in generating this question. However, we did have a kind of a resentment from the younger generation in Hong Kong. We do have one country, two systems, but they prefer to have two systems while keeping a distance from one China. But the Bay Area, the Bay idea, serves to let the young people understand in Hong Kong, look, this is an opportunity no matter what.
We just feel that it is an opportunity not only for the young people, but for all the business community and the people of Hong Kong. You know that Hong Kong is only a city of 7.5 million people. We need to integrate with the mainland because the GDP is the second largest in the world, and big population, we got a big market, and a big opportunity in the Greater Bay Area. Therefore, I just feel that what the young people think is they can get a lot of things in Hong Kong, but at the same time, can we get the same benefit in China? That's important. For example, the free flow of people. Can we get there easily? Will we be treated same as the young people in the Greater Bay Area? You know, when the young people go to China, when they even buy a train ticket, it's not easy, you know. And also the cross-border, the electronic payment system is not comparable with Hong Kong. Therefore, sometimes when we go to the Greater Bay Area, we can even pay the taxi fare or to buy something, you know. We need to all link up all this together. I think that one of the most concerned about the young people in Hong Kong is about the tax difference. You see, in Hong Kong at the moment, we pay only 16.5% for the corporate tax. And recently, our chief executive have reduced 50% for the first 2 million profit for the young people. Therefore, we pay only 8.25%. But in the Greater Bay Area, I think it's a bit much higher. Therefore, we are looking for the Hong Kong young people, when we go into the mainland to Greater Bay Area, whether we can have a tax subsidy. And we were told by the Vice Premier, Mr. Han Zheng, just a week ago, that the 8 measures that he has implemented to attract the young people to come to the mainland, to the Greater Bay Area. So that the difference, if they are the top tier, the elite, or the professionals from Hong Kong, they will be subsidized. That's one thing. Secondly, for the young people, if they go to the Greater Bay Area to work, if they stay there for 183 days, they were considered to be staying in China. Therefore, they need to pay China tax. Therefore, they are just thinking about how to calculate the dates. Now, the new measure is, if you stayed in the Greater Bay Area for 24 hours, then you are considered to be only 1 day. Because you see, under the 1 hour, the living circle is so convenient. We go to Shenzhen by the high-speed train, only 15 minutes. When you go to Guangdong, 47 minutes. Therefore, we can go to Shenzhen in the morning, come back in the afternoon, and then go again. Sometimes we can go there twice a day. Therefore, I think all these measures is important to let the young people to feel that they are fully integrated with the Greater Bay Area without sacrificing anything. And if they can get benefit, I think that's good. I think there's one statement made by Mr. Han Zheng recently, just 2 days ago in the CPPCC meeting, that GBA, the Greater Bay Area, should be a place that the young people in Hong Kong feel attractive. They will come to stay, work, study in Greater Bay Area, and it will be successful. If not, it won't be successful. Therefore, I think in the long run, young people in Hong Kong would like to stay in GBA.
Exactly 40 years ago, it is Hong Kong that played a pivotal role in raising funds and making investment in the mainland. Today, under the adverse circumstances of the trade disputes between the United States and China, to what degree and in what way do you think Hong Kong will set up a bridge and help mainland recover from the slowing down of the economy?
Hong Kong, as you know, that we are the freest economy in the world in the past consecutive 25 years. And on the financial side, last year, 2018, we are still the #1 IPO fundraising place for the whole world. We are still #1. We just feel that Hong Kong is a financial center, it's a free port, rule of law, and also simple and low tax system that's attracting so many people. Therefore, Hong Kong is considered to be the separate economy under APEC. You see, we got the 21 economies. Still, we are same as the China mainland, that we are one separate economy. Therefore, the Western world treat Hong Kong as a separate economy. We hope that we can still maintain this status because recently, some Western countries feel that maybe on some political issue that we have been doing recently, they will reconsider. I think that's not the right point because Hong Kong is the freest economy, and we hope that we can still maintain as the independent economy so that we can also help our country to work closely to other parts of the world. Let me give you some figures. In the past 40 years, during the opening of reform of China, we are the biggest investor in China, FDI. And for the outgoing at the moment, we are also the place that most of the money goes through Hong Kong to other parts of the world, coming in and going out. I think we are the platform that is irreplaceable at the moment.
Thank you so much. We're discussing benefits and advantages as well as challenges concerning the prospects of a Greater Bay Area that connects the two administrative regions, special ones, with 9 cities in the mainland. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Let me go back to Professor Ni from Macau. Hi.
Hi.
Jonathan said earlier, before we take the break, that young Hong Kong people who wish to come to the mainland keep their fingers crossed for one possibility among all other options, that there could be a kind of a subsidy for their income tax. There could be sort of a unification of a tax break or tax rate between the two sides, Hong Kong and the mainland. Do you think this is also a major concern for those from Macau who also want to work and to be employed in the job market in the mainland through further integration of the Greater Bay Area?
Well, first, I think Macau, the effective tax rate even lower, probably around 6%. So it's 10% less than the Hong Kong. I think for young people in Macau, I think the most important thing is what is the job potential market in the Macau. Macau has been basically based on the gambling industry. So for some Macau young generation, what's the job potential if they stay in Macau? There are not many high-end jobs for those people. So the Greater Bay Area provides this opportunity for young people to go to GBA and looking for other job opportunities, also not too far from their homeland. I think this is also we do realize the way Jonathan just mentioned, the central government, the way they count the 183 days, give more flexibility to people who live in Macau and work in the Greater Bay Area become more appealing.
Professor Ni, one more question. Macau's
Sure.
economy depends on 3 pillars: gambling, tourism, and the financial industry. Do you think with the rise in the living standards of the huge army of middle-income consumers in the mainland, you're going to enjoy a greater flow of tourists across the aisle, and Macau will benefit as a result?
The 3 pillars, probably 3 unbalanced pillars. The number one pillar is still the gambling industry. Number two is the tourism. As a financial industry, I think this is a very small pillar. And so Macau people basically have to think about what they have to do other than this gambling industry. And the tourism, right now, still relatively small.
Joanna, what do you think our discussion here about the preferential policies? Will younger generation of Taiwan keep their eye on the mainland and find opportunities here? What kind of preferential policies, from your perspective, should be rolled out in the foreseeable future to appeal more to the mind and heart of those even who participated in the Sunflower Movement?
Well, I think you have actually put your finger on the key issue. In the future, if the Great Bay Area blueprint is executed, then you will have 4 growth engines. Hong Kong will remain a growth engine for financial and technological innovation as well as transportation. Macau continues to have a special place in tourism, but it will be driving tourism and gambling for a larger area. Guangdong is a manufacturing base, Shenzhen is technology and innovation. So if you put it all together, young people in Taiwan will be able to look at the Bay Area as a region that provides a host of different opportunities for people with different skill levels and different aspirations. Much of the young generation in my time went to the United States, to Japan, to Europe to pursue their hopes and dreams. And perhaps future Taiwanese will look westward, and then they'll look at the Great Bay Area as a place that they can have their hopes and dreams fulfilled with a diversity of job opportunities as well as diversity of business possibilities as well.
Joanna, did you see any change in the tone of Chinese leadership about the cross-strait relations? Because we've been hearing things like military build-up quite in favor of the mainland and the use of arms to deter pro-secession forces from going down the road of independence. But it seems in the work report of Premier Li Keqiang, tone has been softened a little bit to give majority of the Taiwanese more silver lining ahead of the general election, because we don't want to drag people across the aisle to the opposition. I mean, the DPP, that will not be very helpful for the mainland. Of course, China hopes, the mainland hopes the KMT will win the next election. At least KMT is the biggest opposition party that accepts the one China principle.
Well, certainly we hear a divergence in terms of tones. The political elites and the political leadership in Taiwan right now, led by DPP, is taking a very hard line to react to Mr. Xi Jinping's 5 major points. And to the extent that they even bring to the potential of military confrontation and have been calling for people to be prepared for eventual or perhaps future confrontation. So certainly political elites have their rhetoric, and they will have their political campaigns, and possibly will be the theme for DPP in the upcoming general election. However, economic elites and individuals will make decisions for themselves. Young people are always mobile, and they are talent mobile. They have talent mobility. The most talented young men will seek to fulfill their hopes and dreams to the best they can in the best position and best places that offer them opportunities. And what we looked at in terms of Taiwan's future and Taiwan's past, we could see that over the last 70 years, the economic elites actually dominated the overall direction of the island. So hopefully, even DPP is threatening very strong, harsh lines. The economic elites and individuals will make their own choices.
And the negative impact, Joanna, of the current trade tensions between the United States and China, do you think the major players like Foxconn from Taiwan are considering seriously relocating their R&D center and assembly lines from the mainland to other low-income economies on our periphery in Asia? Or do you think we'll see more of such cooperation in high-tech areas such as artificial intelligence, chip making, semiconductors, We used to benefit a lot from such a cooperation with Taiwan, but what's going to happen in the future?
Well, I think the United States is forcing their hands. They're actually forcing, including a lot of companies in the Silicon Valleys, to make a choice. In the past, they could be situated in the United States and look for the worldwide market, which mainland China market is a huge part of. However, the United States is now putting a lot of pressure on those companies and effectively asking them to choose between United States market or mainland China market. And large or small companies will face that issue one way or another, and they may probably put some of their subsidiaries in different places just to balance their risks and to be responsible to their shareholders.
Thank you so much. Sorry for those guys who have to take side between the United States and China. Based on the assumption that China could be decoupled, but that's of course a very difficult issue. Welcome back, Jonathan. What are other risks or obstacles that may get in the way for the further integration of Greater Bay Area?
The obstacle I just mentioned already is the free flow of people, goods, capital, and information. And all this, I just feel that how to convince the young people and all the businessmen in Hong Kong, if they integrate in the GBA, how they get the benefit. I think that's most important. You see, most of the Hong Kong people, they're very practical. If they have some attraction or they have some benefit, of course, they will go to GBA. Otherwise, they will stay in Hong Kong. That's the reason why that what we are now talking about is for the infrastructure. I think it's almost done already. You see the high-speed train, the bridge between Hong Kong, Macau, and Zhuhai is all done already. It's fully integrated in the infrastructure. But what we need is so-called the innovation of system and mechanism that the central government is talking about. The innovation, not only technology, but also the system and mechanism. How we cross the border easily so that we can free flow of all these four elements that I've been talking about. I think that is the main thing that we have been doing today.
We're not just talking about the Bay idea between Hong Kong, Macau, and the mainland. It's not a novel idea, basically. Elsewhere, we see, for example, Tokyo Bay Area, Singapore, Seattle, San Francisco, whatever you name it, a lot of them across the world. What do you think of the idea or the driving force behind the formation of a Bay integration?
I feel that for the we have the blueprint of the Bay Area already. Of course, we are positioning all the core cities like Hong Kong, Macau, Shenzhen, and Guangdong, what we are going to do. And what are the positioning of the whole Greater Bay Area is very clear already. It's in the blueprint. What we have to do is we have to check what New York is doing. New York, San Francisco, and Tokyo. They're the three big Bay Area in the world. New York is strong in finance. San Francisco is strong in the innovation and technology, while Tokyo is strong in the manufacturing supply chain. But I think in the Greater Bay Area today, in the Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau, we have similar things. On the financial side, Hong Kong, I think, is also a financial center, and then New York. And Shenzhen innovation is also very good. And for the 9 cities, you know, in the past 40 years, we have to build the so-called world factory. We have also the manufacturing supply chain. Of course, may not be as good as Tokyo. Therefore, we have to learn and understand what they are talking about. Therefore, we are now proposing that in April the 9th, we have a big Tokyo conference in Tokyo, matching the Tokyo Bay Area and also the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Bay Area, how we can work together and learn from each other. That's why in the future, the Greater Bay Area in Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau has to understand more what's happening in other parts of the world.
Professor Ni, ahead of the 20th anniversary of Macau's return, do you think the completion of the bridge that connects the 3 parts, Macau, Hong Kong, and the mainland, is viewed more of a political gift, token, instead of, in practical terms, an economic opportunity, considering what we have discussed here in the Beijing studio about lessons and experiences we draw from other Bay Areas, Seattle, Tokyo, and in Europe? So what do you think of the future?
I think this first, this you talk about Zhuhai, Hong Kong, Macau bridge, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think this is allow the people, the flow of people more easier to Macau, and I think this is really create more opportunities for Macau to reach out to the GBA area.
There are a lot of restrictions on what we could hope for free travel. Do you think such restrictions and ban could be easily lifted in the near future? Unless and until that could be done, you won't expect as many Chinese travelers to cross the bridge and enjoy their time, the holiday in Macau, do you?
Well, I think for holidays in Macau, it's already very crowded. Okay, so so you mentioned earlier about tourism coming to Macau. I think most of them probably to engage in the still gambling industry. It's not much really for tourism in the Macau. I think Macau really has to think about to diversify the economics. It's not only rely on the tourists. There are many other things Macau has to do to retain their local people and to help their economic development.
Given the impact of a high-handed crackdown on corruption and 8 principles, 8项规定 for Communist Party members, I don't think gambling would be very attractive for the Communist Party in the mainland. Very quickly, Joanna, what do you think of the attraction of other Bay areas and inspirations we can draw as such?
As the economies are fully integrated, then you have 4 different growth engines. So people in Macau who are technology and innovation driven can choose to be in Shenzhen, and people in Shenzhen who wants to dedicate their lives in tourism can move to Macau. So I think the free flow would allow the young generation a lot of opportunities to choose according to their own aspiration and hopes and dreams. However, the free flow still have a lot of soft areas that we didn't talk about. We talked about the physical connection, accessibility in terms of infrastructure and access to capital market, but also for the whole greater Bay Area concept to work, you must also have a culture that promotes and encourages innovation, as well as giving entrepreneurs greater opportunities. So those softer areas needs to be further developed as well.
You put your finger on the very interesting idea of incubation, encouraging spirit of innovation in the Bay Area. And I just went to Guangdong and saw, rediscovered a lot of preferential policies rolled out by the local authorities to attract professionals, talented people from other parts of the world, including from Hong Kong and Macau. That's the end of today's special edition of Dialogue on the Sidelines of Lianghui. I'll see you tomorrow at the same time on Voices and Votes. Until then, goodbye.